Welcome back to Findin Grooves. It's been a couple weeks. I've been trying to figure out this audio issue. I noticed that like after about 2 or 3 minutes, the audio starts getting real choppy on all the platforms, and I'm really been trying to figure it out. Um, but it looks like we may have found a solution. Um, Hopefully, if not, that's it's more than fine. Yeah, so we'll see. I'm gonna record this one, and if it goes well, it goes well. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But welcome back. We're gonna get straight to it because I already did introductions and I had to kill the stream. So we're just gonna get straight into it. I'm gonna go live on Instagram. And yeah, we're gonna get straight into it because I already did introductions and I had to kill the stream. So it is what it is. Long story short, man, take care of your mental health. I've been doing that the last couple weeks. That's why you haven't seen me. Been working a lot, doing a lot of sessions with artists and having a lot of fun. And hopefully you guys will see some of this work will come to light here pretty soon. But if not, it was a good time and I got paid. So anyway, bro, today, or I'm jumping straight into it, we're going to be talking about using your SP404 with Pro Tools, specifically how to extract stems. I've never done this before, so we will be learning together today. I'm just basically going to show you guys how I do it because I have a collaboration that I'm hopefully doing this weekend. And this dude liked one of the beats that I made on the SP. And he was like, yo, let me get that. And I was like, as an engineer, I want to mix that a little bit more. And I would like to mix it by stems, preferably. So let's just see what happens. So I'm working on a Mac, but I know that this is possible on PC to create your own audio devices. This is like really only important if you have an interface and an SP. I do have an interface and an SP, which the SP works as an interface. The new SP, the MK2 right here, works as an interface as well. So let's open up Pro Tools. Well, first, before we open up Pro Tools, let's get into some of the routing that you need to do in the Mac. Straight to it. Boom. All right. So you guys see this screen here. This is the audio MIDI setup. I don't know if I can make that bigger. Didn't really make a difference, but that's all right. If you want to get to this page, you can just search audio MIDI setup and it's going to come up. You click on that and then this comes up. It won't look like this because you're going to make this. But you're going to make your own aggregate device is what they call this. It's basically combining two audio devices, their inputs and their outputs, and using them together, which is great. It's of great importance and very useful. Anyway, so we're gonna click this little plus button down in the bottom left corner and click create aggregate device. When you do that, you will get a little menu like this that allows you to select what you want in this aggregate device. And so what I want are the ins and outs of the SPMK2, which are green and blue respectively. And then I want my universal audio because that's where Apollo, because that's where my monitors are plugged in. If I want to have other synths and stuff to add on top of this beat, I already want it to go through my Apollo, so I don't have to like unplug stuff and plug into my MK2 or use the patch bay or whatever. This is only if you're not going to record audio directly out of the MK2. You can record audio directly out of the MK2. Some people prefer that. I don't know that there's really a difference in the sound, because a lot of people who own SPs want, the dirtiest sound possible. All your effects are going to be coming straight out of this USB and all of that. So this is like if you have the interface plugged in via USB and your Apollo plugged in USB. You're going to create this aggregate device, which I've shown you. If you have any questions, just leave a comment. Be happy to answer. Next, we're going to open up Pro Tools, which is already open. Boom. And what we're going to do is go into our playback engine. Make sure, and you're going to name that aggregate device. I named my SP plus Apollo. Hey, Urine, what's up? What's up? I named mine SP plus Apollo. So, I select that as the playback engine. Cool. That is letting Pro Tools know use that aggregate device. Perfect. So now you're going to go into setup IO, which are your ins and outs. This part's important because you're using two different interfaces, you know, the SP and right now the Apollo or your Scarlett or whatever you have. You're gonna want to open this up because you may notice that, you know, and if I go to default, if I default this and I have my inputs monitoring on, if I go to a beat, start playing it, you're hearing that only because I'm using that aggregate devices like my system audio. But you see there's nothing happening here in Pro Tools. See, there's no audio on the meters. You get me? No audio on the meters, right? So how can I fix that? It's quite simple. I'm gonna go back to my aggregate device in my audio MIDI setup. Okay. Let me make sure if anybody, I'm gonna pull up OBS. Okay. So I'm gonna go back here into my IO setup and I'm gonna have my aggregate device. And this is telling me what number channels this is assigned to in my aggregate device. So I know I want my ins from my SP, which are right here, SPN. So the inputs 1 and 2. I want that to go into Pro Tools. And then after that, I know that I want to have that audio coming back out of my Apollo, right? I don't want it coming out of the SP because I don't have any speakers plugged into the SP. I don't want it coming out of my computer speakers. I want it coming out of the Apollo. So if I want that sound coming out of the Apollo, I needed to come out of my monitors. I see that my monitor left and my monitor right here. Sorry that's so small. I can't really make it bigger, but you see that my monitor left and my monitor route for my Apollo outputs is on channels 5 and 6. So I need to make sure that that's properly routed in my in and outs here, right? So your master naturally goes to channel, whatever channel 1 and 2 is for your outputs when you open up a playback device in Pro Tools. So I know I want mine to be on 5 and 6. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, actually, I want mine on 7 and 8. Let me double check. I want mine on 7 and 8. So I make sure that my main out 1 and 2 are on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I drag what's going on 7 and 8, bring it right on over here. And Pro Tools won't like that you want many different things coming out of your 1s and 2s. Usually it'll tell you, it'll tell you this, that multiple paths have the same name. So I'm going to change this name to Mon Apollo, which is monitors Apollo. That's not how you spell Apollo. And that's also not how you spell Apollo. Boom. Cool. So now that I've done that, it shouldn't have a problem. But it does, because it doesn't like overlapping paths. So I just take these, shift click both of them, move them over to that old spot, call it a day, because I'm not going to be using that. Press OK. Now, when I play the beat, you see I got stuff on my meters. I can record. Fantastic. Fantastic. This is great. So let's get into the beat that I want the stems for. There's many different methods, especially on the MK2 with like the loopback feature and stuff like that to get stems. I'm going to show you what I think is a good way. I've actually never done this before. This is all theory, but it should work. So first, let me show you guys the beat. and that's the beat. So I'm using a combination of performing and pattern mode, the pattern sequencer mode. Now, if you're making your beats on your SP using the resample method, this is not going to be very helpful for you unless when you're doing your whole resample method thing, you're already thinking like, I'm going to build this piece by piece and then have parts that are isolated so I can come back and make stems. It's not necessary, you know. A lot of engineers will take 2 tracks. A lot of bigger clients will take 2 tracks. Travis Scott records on 2 tracks of beats, but sometimes, you know, you may feel like you can do all your mixing on the SP. It has EQs, compressors, delays, you know, anything that you might need, but you may just have a certain preference of how you like to mix. So you might want to, you know, get some stems into Pro Tools, which is the way that I'm going to do it. So the first thing I'm going to do is set up my session. How am I going to do that? I'm going to see what tempo this beat is. So if I on here, if I do shift tab tempo, or on your main, if you're not on a 404 MKII, if you're on a different SP, you can just go to your main sample, see what the tempo is, and you know, do it that way. You can just tap it out. I mean, you don't have to be exact here. So I'm going to set this to 80 because the beat that I'm making is 80. Cool. So now that I've set this to 80, I'm ready to start. So this first part of the beat is actually one sample. So if I'm on pattern mode, I can go find where that sample is, get off pattern mode. That sample's right here. That's one whole sample. So I'm just going to record this part in right now. So stop, and then since I'm going to actually like trigger it, I'll probably do like a click. I don't have a click track. I don't even know how to do the. That's fine. So I'm playing. I have it in punch mode, so you see it's not recording. But if I do this, I can go. It's only a 1-bar loop, so I can stop it, zoom in. Now, if you really wanted to get fancy, I would be triggering all of this via MIDI as well to get like timing ultra perfect. It's not really necessary for what I'm doing right now. Or I would have it MIDI synced. The transport controls MIDI synced to the SP, which you could also do. But I know I want that first little part. Bam, that is the first stem. So now if I press play, and I take this off. I have that. I have my grid set to 1/4. There's that. And if I zoom in, you see it's pretty A1 on time. See that? And that's really just going to keep going throughout the beat. Now, you don't want those clicks there, obviously. So you see there's a little extra spizzy right there. That's what I like to call that. Space, spizzy. So I'll see what's there. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. So like the tempo is not exactly 80, but the way I have it swinging, it is 80. Because if I play the beat on the SP, right, we are not on. My buddy, Still Stressed Out, keeps asking me if we're on. Not quite. It's pretty continuous. So honestly, because I stopped it there, you know, I stopped the pattern, I could actually just take, it's really, because it's a 1-bar loop, right? I have many bars here, so I can really just take this, go like that, and then duplicate it like that, you know? That's another way. Done with break, yes. My bro, Evan over at Why You Delete is asking me if I'm done with taking a break. I shouldn't be, but I'm here. I should not be. I'm tired. But we continue on because we got to get this knowledge out. So if I want to get rid of that, I can just fade it. There's like, you hear it clip. There's like a little clip there. I could just fade it slightly on these. It's really not a big deal. And I can adjust those fades. Or I could just play it through for the duration of the beat. I mean, there's many ways that you could do that, but we're trying to get this fast. So I'm going to duplicate this channel and then delete this. Working with the SP and the keyboard at the same time is funny. So yeah, now we're going to record this next part of the beat. So this is the next part of the beat. Yeah, this is my old school. This beat hard though. Evan said it sounds like me in 2015. This is exactly what I was on. So you have the hi-hat there and the kick. So I can do a couple things here. If you're using, and this is why I like to use the pattern select mode. If I'm using the pattern select mode, it's going to be really easy to isolate these sounds. Because these are all copies with stuff added on top of it. So what I'll do is copy the same pattern, copy, boom, bamp, over there, but isolate the kick. So I can do that by simply deleting those parts in the pattern, or you could even just move those pads to open pads, and then it'll just play the kick. So I'm not going to do that because I don't want to mess up my pattern, but you know, that's one way you can do it. It's a couple ways. So what I'm going to do now is, now that I'm playing all of that, I got to find out where those samples are. So what I'm going to do is go to my press record, and if I hold delete, I can erase. So now the main sample is deleted. Take delete mode off. Turn off recording. There's my hi-hat. So then I go again with the erase. And I just have the kick playing now, obviously. Now I don't want the click playing with it. So now that I've done that, I can just play this. You feel me? So now and arm this to record and just go like that. Now I'm going to duplicate this throughout. Duplicate, 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 duplicate. Yo, Wooge Music in the building, Savage Love in the building. What's good, guys? Getting real technical today, talking about exporting stems from your SP404 MKII into Pro Tools for further mixing, because I'm a nut about mixing. I mean, honestly, the beat sounds good all together, but you know, you never know. You might want to change some things up. A client might be like, oh, can you take the kick out right here? And this is a pain later on. So anyway, I'm going to press play. I got it recording. And again, it's a 2-bar loop. So I just zoom in here, make sure I'm like nice and on beat, because I know that kick does start directly on the one, the way that I did it. So it's coming in just a smidge bit late. Bring that over here. Still stressed out, said I'm using Pro Tools, so we're on. No, I'm only using Pro Tools because I know I'm gonna have to record this client in Pro Tools, and that's what they're gonna want. So I do like Pro Tools though. Not the crap on Pro Tools. I just use Ableton so much more. You feel me? So now in the natural progression of the beat, like when I perform it live, I think I have that come in right there. Oh, gotta undo that. Let me duplicate this again. I don't know if there's a quick command to duplicate tracks, but if there is, somebody tell me what it is, because it'd make my life way easier. And it's still got our swing on it, you feel me? Which is great. So I just am going to take this 4-bar part, and then we can, you know, duplicate it throughout the beat, because we're focusing on stems. So then let me arm this track. So that's that. So the next thing that was in there was that hi-hat. There's a hi-hat that comes right here. So again, I'm going to take this one that has the hi-hat on. I'm going to copy it, paste it. Cool. And just delete the main samples, the other samples other than the hi-hat. Very simple stuff here. Simple, slightly time consuming, but you never know when this might come in handy. So that's why I'm showing people how to do it. So if I go on to record and I press delete, now I'm in erase mode. I can erase that kick. It's only a 2-bar loop. We're talking about hip hop. Doesn't take long to erase that kick. Doesn't take long to erase that other sample. So it's erased. Oh no, I see it's not all the way erased. So I just gotta hold it. Hold it and it'll erase it all. On the MK2. Again, an alternative method, if you're not on an MK2 and you're on like a 555, which I also own, or a 303, what you could simply do, and again, this is if you're not using the resample method, is move those pads temporarily. Move those pads to an empty pad. If you're in pattern mode, then it's going to trigger that pad. It's not going to trigger the sample wherever you move the pad. It's going to trigger that pad. So you move that sample to an empty pad. Now it's not playing, and I can isolate the loop. I can isolate the stem. So now I have this, which is just that hi-hat. Now, this one is going to be, because it's so wonked. Ugh, I hate using the word wonky, but I love it. You want to make sure you're playing it on beat. So I'm going to give myself some pre-roll so I can trigger it, you know, right on beat. Cool. So I got it. Gave myself some pre-roll. Again, it's a 2-bar loop. So as long as you grab 2 bars, it's going to be the same as it ever was. Sometimes it's nice to grab 4 though, because when you're putting these clips together, you don't want it to like be wonked out. So boom, from the top, just so I know where I'm at. John Dog's in the building. What's good? Mach 1 Media. Boom, 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 boom. Big John and Tuck. If you guys ever, I don't know if you have a dope car or something like that, they can take photos and videos of your car and it will be amazing. They do travel. You better have a budget because these boys do great work. Jonathan actually did my first 2 music videos that I ever put out, the precursors to Hayden. So definitely go check out their work. Quick plug for the homeboy. Bro, we got to talk soon one of these days. Me and him had a conversation once. We were really good friends in college. I'll say we're good friends now, but we had a conversation once about just like all of our friends becoming successful at what they're doing, and I just see it happening. You know, some of the people I've been able to work with, especially in the last 2 weeks, and as far as engineering, has been pretty spectacular. And I'm very grateful to God for that. So, hey, love you too, bro. So now I got the hi-hat, I got the kick, I got the little string sample. The last thing is really the snare. See, I gotta keep forgetting to unmute those, but that's all right. Stuff happens. Now, is it? I had the kick and the hi-hat come in at the same time on the original beat, but I can make those choices now. I can change it up if I want to. So the important part is that I have the stem here. We're talking about loops that we're gonna loop. So I have the stem here. Great. The last part. Oh, sorry. Arm this track. It's just that snare. So again, now that I have the snare, I know the snare is not on this one. It's not on pad 2. I know you guys can't see my SP, but the snare's on pad 3. So I copy that snare to a new pad in pattern mode. Again, I'm using pattern mode. You have to think ahead of time to do this with the resample. And sometimes, again, it's not necessary, but sometimes people are going to ask you for stems. You can either tell them you can only give them a 2-track, like there's no stems. I made it on the sampler, like I use the method where there's no stems. And most people will still be cool with it. But again, if I want to dig deeper into this mix, and I find, again, you can mix everything on the SP. You really can, and I do. But I want to be able to do some specific things for this client where I have like some dropouts and stuff like that I would have to like do them live, and I don't want to do that. I rather just look at Pro Tools and cut it out, do those kind of things. My homie Why You Delete says, man, that's real on the friend group being successful. I feel like those early years are an incubator for success later on. Yes, and it could be success is something completely different than what they were on when you met. Facts. Because we all take different paths. I mean, I would say God's given me success in my brand protection business. And that is not necessarily my end goal, but, it provides for my family. And I know my boy Evan has had success in business. I ain't going to tell people where you work or nothing like that, but, he's been promoted a couple of times. He's got a master's degree. You know what I mean? Like, it's just beautiful seeing us get our goals, man. It's really a blessing. I do like to put a little pre-roll on my loops, like if I know where they're going to start at, because like you get that whole first transient anyway. So that's what you just saw me do there. All right, so the last part, and then the last part, I am actually going to perform putting the main sample on the beat, but it's just a snare. So like I said, I copied this over. We're just going to isolate that snare. So I'm, again, put on the record mode. And I'm deleting stuff. Hey, my boy said he watched the interview that I did. I appreciate that. I did it. For those who don't know, I did an interview on It Goes Down in the PM. If you search It Goes Down in the PM on YouTube, you'll find it. He was saying there were some stories on there you didn't even know. Yeah, it got wild out there. Why? I live wild. All right, let me get that hi-hat off of there. And those kicks, they're on the same 16 squares, so it'll be easy to do at the same time. If I go into erase mode, I can press both of these. Cool. All right, so now that's just the snare. Cool. So I give myself some pre-roll. I press play. I'm in record. Cool. So I got that. And then it's just all about putting it together in a way that makes sense. I keep doing that, bro. I'm gonna learn. Hey, he said the drums are hitting. Thank you. You know I had to hit him with the country grammar, boy. See, those hi-hats are not how I originally did them, so I'm gonna move them a half. The cool thing about the SP2, which, damn, I should have did this when I was doing the stems. You might want to take off the master setting. So it has buses 1 and 2, which most people know about on the SP, where I can do 2 different effects at the same time live. But then you have your master settings on bus 3 and 4. If you press Shift 16, and I have them on there, so it's gonna give it even more grit. But I have a compressor and EQ on there that kind of brings the whole thing together. I should have did these dry and then ran the whole thing back through the SP. But you know, there's many ways to work. This is fine. But that's why there's like a little extra grit on that hi-hat. But I like the way they're sitting. But because of that, my levels are a little different. So I might want to turn down the hats a little bit. You feel me? That kind of ting. That kind of ting right there, boy. Oh, they do not care, boy. And then I'm going to duplicate that. Cool. But now I'm duplicating. And then the final thing I need to do is perform the sample on top of it. And the reason why I want to do that in here is because, like, I can adjust the timing on the sample and do a few different things. So let me duplicate this. Do not duplicate the active playlist. Boom. And then what I can do is grab this section. Yink, yink, yink. I'm just going to be duplicating this because the rest of the beat's finna ride just like that. And then I just want to make sure I'm not, see, I already did it messed up. That's a problem. I have a particular client who I love very much. He's a good dude. He would yell at me for such things. So I really need to extend this. I know I can insert silence here. I just don't know how. Edit. Clip. Could just re-render this whole thing. That's a way to do it. And go to Audio Suite and just, you know, run it through like something that doesn't do anything, like Auto Key, and press render because it doesn't do anything. And then it'll be full, right? And that's cool. Isn't that cool? Come back over here, and I'm just going to duplicate all of this. Again, making sure that I'm snapped on each side. I know this part's boring. These are things I'm trying to get faster at. And paste that here. So that I can have a clean break. And you just make sure that you're cleanly breaking right there on all your tracks. Cool. Now that I know I'm doing that, can grab all of this and just duplicate it on. Dupe it and dupe it and dupe it. And it'll be on beat. So now I'm going to record the sample on top of it and we're good. So I'm going to start it from the top to give myself some sauce. And this part I'm doing live because I want the liveness of it. I don't know. Woo! Woo! have to turn it up. Cool. Sample was so perfect for that. And then I wanted to, there's a second sample. It's the same sample actually in reverse. Don't tell anybody. But I want to do that on here too. So I want to do it live. So again, I'm gonna give myself some pre-roll, and we're gonna do the same thing. Oh, so the second time I did it was way better. Zoom, grab that second part. Bro, am I ever gonna learn? So I want to chop it right there. So. And that's it, bro. So now I have all the pieces. I can arrange the beat however I want. And that all came from my SP404, using no audio cables, using Pro Tools, and using the pattern select mode. So, I mean, that's really it, bro. It's great stuff. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. And